team, this is Ashwin, and this is an update video on the Security Baseliner tool, and we have made some significant update to the feature list. So you can currently see that the tool has options that are to take questions, and based on the answers that you have given to that, it actually creates a maturity assessment on the same, and it creates a radar chart and a project plan around that, and you could essentially download the project plan and radar chart on that. And you basically can now, that these are the new features that you can actually see on the system, that is, we can now export the configuration that you have that is made in the tool. The reason is this tool actually needs you to go through many tasks, and it is not always possible to complete each of them in the same instance. So you now have an option to do a part of the activity, export the configuration, and then you can import it back later and then update the project plan accordingly based on whatever updates that you have done to the activities. And to ensure that the data is tamper-proof, we make sure that we put an MD5 hashing on that particular output data, and it is compared when you import it back. So the integrity of that particular data that is exported from the system is maintained. Alright, and if you want to try it out, the URL is Azure Security Baseliner.ashwinpro.com. And so let's jump into that, and then let me show you the changes that has happened. So when you run that URL, it gets redirected to my blogspot, and this is the UI that you will get. So ideally it first tells you what the tool is. It's basically an Azure Security Baseliner tool, and it is based on Azure Security Benchmark, or ASB, and this version of the tool is focused on Azure Sentinel. So keep an eye on this blog, and basically, or else connect me with LinkedIn. You will definitely find more workloads of Azure covered up in the upcoming tools similarly. And it's very important to note that I do not store any data that you are entering on this particular tool in any of our server. This is completely running from your local browser cache. Okay. So the next thing is, once you have opened this tool, if you're completely new to it, then you just need to select on the drop-down new, or if you have an existing plan that you need to work on or modify, then you could select the other one. Once you select the project plan as new, I'm going to go through that process, and then I will import that, and all kind of those things will happen. Okay. Now, once you proceed with the activities, then it actually asks you to put some detailing. Like, first it gives you a description of this tool, and then it tells you, hey, put your team details. So I'm actually going to put like user 1, and then let's say role 1, close it with user 2, role 2, and things like that. You can actually see that these users that you actually added on the top automatically pop ups here, and then you just need to click yes to that list. And yes, if you need to add any user later, you could anytime come to the description tab and add any user later. So this doesn't need to be a final list at any point. Now when you click next, this is where you get to the questionnaire. And these are the controls that you have which you need to comply with. So when you get into the first control, and it tells you what it is, what CIS control and NIST compliance it actually is going through. Responsibility is your entity, which means you are responsible to identify your business risk. What is the status of it? Let's say, for example, it is completed. Then you need to give a start date. Let's say, for example, you give a date as last month initially, and then you completed it sometime last week. Keep in mind that there are validations in place on these basically. So if you have completed and put a future date, it'll give you a message saying that, hey, end date cannot be later than today because it's completed, so you can't really say a future date. So I'll probably put 12th, and you can update the days accordingly and then put the users. Now this is where, if in case you need to add one more user, you can anytime go back to the description, update the user here, say for example user 3 role 3, and then you can go back to the place, and then you will now find that user 3 as well in the drop down. So, and on the notes section we can mention what is this about, this task, or this is a test node. I'm actually just putting it like that. You can write whatever you want in this. This is just to support your activity. And then say for example this one is to be decided. You are not yet decided on that activity. This is something that you need to do, so you can actually say scheduled, and then I'm going to schedule it for let's say for example it's already running and it's actually scheduled to complete end of this week. That's possible, right? And team is a new member that I added, test note, just for the sake of adding it. So I'm actually going to just skip through the things and get to the next of that, and then I come here and say same scenario here. It actually asked me to all of that, so now actually I'm going to go through the next options, and then identity management side and all kind of those. I'm actually going to skip through the system and take you to the place where it can help you to download the project plan and things like that. So once you have completed all of that, it will basically create a radar chart, which makes more sense. If you see, we only did governance, and that to a little bit of that, and that's why it's actually 6%, and none of the other charts exist. The green means this is the target. You should target all of the other domains to get to these. That's the idea. And so you can actually download the chart. You can actually see the chart here. You can open up that, and this is the chart that is downloaded. And or else you could download the project plan as such. Now this is the project plan that you can actually take it offline and see what you can do with it. It has all the data that you entered in, like what the start date, end date, the status, and things like that. There's no point updating on this sheet because you can't really do anything to it or import it back to the system. In fact, you can definitely do is every time you can use this for an emailing purpose, but rather you can export the configuration file. So this is basically the configuration file that it's definitely not readable, and things like that. This is the configuration file that you have. And then if you come back to the tool again later, let's say for example you came to the same tool again, what you have to do is select an existing, and then you can actually select the based on whatever we downloaded just now. So you can actually select that and then proceed with the option, and then it actually shows you all the things that you actually filled up later. So let me actually take you through all of that. Same scenario, you update certain task. Let's say for example you want to update this thing to say for example this is no longer to be decided, it's scheduled to happen at a particular time. You can actually say that it is supposed to start by 22nd and end by that week or something like that, and then who's going to do it and all kind of those things. Okay, and click next to it. I'm just going to go through all of these options once again, and then I'm going to actually download the project plan. So this is how you can actually work with this system. You can see that there will be additional line item added for that extra activity that you see here and things like that. And then you can actually download the project configuration file and keep it with you so that next time when you come up you can use it. So I said to you that I actually take a note of the ensuring that the task this is not tampered or did something with it, right? So I could basically make sure that I'm just going through here and there. I'm just updating some information here and there, and I'll save this information. Now this is having a 2 to that, so I'm actually going to make sure that I import that itself, and then I go back to the existing one, and then I'm going to select the number 2 item and proceed. See, as an invalid project config file, which means it no longer is the same file that you exported. So you can be rest assured, as long as the file is openable in the system, It is not tampered or updated offline anywhere else. And that's basically it. As the update to the tool, I would encourage you to go through this and connect with me on LinkedIn if you have any questions, and let me know, and accordingly we can take this forward. And if you need any assistance or any point of view, you need more further discussion on this tool for your organization, please feel free to reach to me. I do not mind getting into a call, into a discussion, and getting to know how best you could use this tool for your organization. All right, have a nice day, and let's catch up later.